We're on top of the Zayin. We're going back a bit, so we're going to be on top of the Zayin with base by the 2 dots. I'm going to start from 2 dots and then get to Gemara I want to hit to. But the Gemara said that a Mitzaira, he goes ahead and a Mitzaira, a Nazir, turns into a Mitzaira, he cuts it here. How could he cut it here? Dimul lav tamain. Maybe we said it was a doubt. In a case when it was a doubt if that he was metame or not, we say, well, how could he cut his hair? Dilma lap to main inu. Maybe he wasn't tame. How could he go ahead and cut his hair? That's an isser minatayr. It's also to cut your pace, and only based on a doubt. How could he do that? Amar Shmuel, but isha katan. We're talking about an isha katan. I will come a big I'll say it's by an adult. Hakaf is called shmei hakaf. We could say really it's by an adult, and when you cut the entire head, your head, when you shave your entire head, it's not called the issue of pace. The issue of pace is done when you shave the corner of the head and you leave something behind. That's why it's called cornering. Otherwise, it's shaving. So the Gemara says, obviously, since Shmuel didn't say this, then cutting of the entire, even cutting the entire hair still falls under the prohibition of payas. We had this case before, 60 and 120. I'm just doing this quickly because we did this yesterday, but
are we still in 57b? Right?
Yes. Again, in the case of a doubt, he should cut his hair. How could he do it? It's a doubt. How could you cut your hair based on a doubt? You're violating the biblical commandment that one should not cut his face. We're talking about a isha and a katan. Okay, Amar Rafuna. That's what I really wanted to get to. So we are by Amar Rafuna on 57b on Nun Zayin Amud Beis. We are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 lines down. First word on line is Be'isha. Okay, Amar Rafuna. So we're going to say the following. We're continuing to discuss cutting the hair, and we said before that we're talking about a woman, that we're talking about a Nazir who's an Isha or a Katan, right? And wait, thank you. Okay, allergies. Don't worry, just allergies. Amakif is a Katan. How are you? So we said before that we said that it's a child or a Katan. Now, once we're talking, child or katan, I just say child or katan. We're talking about a woman or a child. Now, once you're in that topic, we're going to go into that topic. Amar Rafuna, Amakav is a katan harayuchai. So according to Rafuna, one who cuts the hair of a minor is chayiv for the issue of pace. Amar Ravad Barahava Rafuna, Ravad Barahava said to Rafuna v'didach man megalech lahain, who shaves your children. Amar Le'achayva, he said, Chayva my wife. So on that, Ravad Barahava said, Takaribun chayva levaneha. What do you want? Does Chayva want to go ahead and bury her children? That's how he responded. Now, we're going to see in the end that, so even though it's a child, everyone agrees there's no issue of the child itself, and we'll have to come to the end, we'll have to come to the conclusion. It could very well be, Rav Huna agrees, that Ravad Bahava himself agrees there's no issue with a woman cutting the hair, but according to Rav Huna's reasoning, there should be a problem. And so therefore he said, according to your reasoning, you're going to cause problems to your wife. And we learned and said, and because he said those words, even though it could very well be that the wife could cut the pace off of their child, but since he sort of uttered such words and he's such a powerful sage, the offsprings of Rav Huna during the life of no one of the offspring of Rav Huna survived in the lifetime of Ada Bar Hava. Okay, now Michti, what's this machlokes between Rav Ada Bar Hava and Rav Huna? So that's so Tiravayu Sevira Akafa Kalareshme Akafa. Both of them really hold that if you round off the entire head and you also shave the head, it's still called the Isra pace. But my case, what's the machlokes? Rav Huna says like this. Rav Huna holds like Kifu Pas Reishem Leisashkas as Pasuk Nachi. Quotes a pasuk. Based on the pasuk, that you should not cut, you should not round off the corners of every head, and you shouldn't destroy your beard. Whoever falls on the prohibition of the beard part also falls under the isser of the hair. But the woman, since they don't grow beards, they also are not included in the commandment of not to cut off, not to round the heads, not to round their head. So according to Rav Huna, there's no issue with the woman covering, even if the child would be an issue, right? Because that's how Rav Huna start off. Rav Huna starts saying that a child, one who rounds the head of a minor, is liable. Now the child himself can't be liable; it must be the one who's doing it to him. But now we're going to see in a minute. We'll see in a minute. But the usual idea is that if someone that the prohibition of cutting the hair of shaving, rounding the head, rounding one's head, not rounding one's head, rounding the hair of one's head. I think that's 50 more sense. My head's round anyway, right? Now, is applicable to both the makif and the nikif, the one who's shaving and the shavee and the shaver. To easier understand, what it's called the barber and the client. Easy way to understand, right? The barber and the client. So it applies to both. However, according to Rav Huna, it's true the barber is chayiv. That's only if he himself is also included in the isser of payas. So an adult male cannot go ahead and cut the hair of a minor, but a woman who is not included at all, doesn't make a difference if her hair is getting cut or she's doing the cutting. It's not a problem. That's what Rav Huna held. Rav Adabar have a hold. First of all, both the cutter and the cutty, the shaver and the shavee, the barber and the client are both chayiv when it comes to pace. It's just makif from nikif. Not only that, we compare the makif, who is and we make a comparison between the barber and the client. Whenever the person who's sitting in whenever the nikif is whenever the nikif who's the client is going to be chayiv, is going to be over the lab of one should not cut off his pace. Also, the barber is also going to be chayiv. Now, this minor, this child, since he himself cannot be chayiv because he's underage, the adult who's cutting him is also not going to be chayiv. Now, it ends up being as follows: that according, let's say, it's sort of like two machlekes. The machlekes is about the woman and the one who's cutting. So, according to Rav Huna, it ends up being that women are never chayiv at all because they are not included in the issue of in the isser of payas. Therefore, whether they cut or they get cut or they give the cutting. Now, but according to Rav Huna, okay, so that's we set this aside. Rav Adabar holds no, not so simple. Rav Adabar holds that a woman, although she is not included in the isser of cutting off her payas, but she cannot go ahead and do it to someone else. Therefore, according to Rav Adabar himself, it could very well be that I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that according to Rav Adabar, it could very well be that a woman could cut the hair of a minor, according to his own opinion, because the minor is not included in the isser at all. But according to Rav Huna, it should be a problem, even though it's true that according to we hold that cutting the hair of a minor might not be a problem. But Rav Huna said that it's usher to go ahead and cut the hair of a minor. So according to Rav Adabar's reasoning, it's also to cut the hair of the minor, then the barber will always be chayiv, regardless if she herself is chayiv, it was done to her. That's how it comes out. So the main machlekes you have to focus on is if a woman is a barber, when we say that there's a chiyuv on the barber and it's also the barber to do it, is that because the one sitting in the chair reflects back to her? Or that's a chiyuv onto herself. So according to Rabbi Boruch, it reflects whoever's in the chair. If it's also for the one in the chair, it's also for the one to do it, regardless if the one in that's going to be the halacha. But according to Rav Adabar, according to Rav Huna, no, the woman is never going to be chayiv since she's not included. The idea is not reflecting back. It's when the Torah said that the barber is usher, is forbidden to do it. Said if the barber is a male, it's usher to do it, and the barber also has to be included in the prohibition of shaving one's head. Okay, I hope I did it justice. If you look on the bottom of the art scroll, there's a nice summary over there. You can go ahead and read it, and hopefully it reflects what I was saying. Now, we are on the bottom. Whoa, we're not done yet. We're on the bottom of.
We passed on. Just don't tell us we're on the bottom of 58A.
Say again?
Just don't tell us we're on the bottom of 58A.
No, we're on bottom 57B. Is that a joke? I don't know. Okay, now the Gemara continues in this on this topic. Now we said before this idea that there's two ways when it says that you should not go ahead and cut round ones here, which is just I'll just call pace. One should not cut off your pace. Is that only when you're leaving behind the rest of the hair on the head? That's called rounding, right? You're doing some artwork on your hair and you're actually rounding it off and you're leaving just the top, like a crew cut, a marine cut, whatever the Marines were. Anyway, that idea. Or is it even when you, or is it, I don't know what I say the first one. What I said. Let me do this. Take two. So what it means says as follows: is to say that if you leave hair on your head, it's not called rounding. Therefore, there's no isser. Or is that no, even if you do leave hair on your head, if you don't leave hair on your head, meaning the first side is that only if you leave hair on your head, there's an isser. If you shave everything off, then you're fine because you're not rounding anything, you're shaving everything off. Or no, even if you shave anything off, there's still an isser of pace. Now, we came out on top that Shmuel must have held, I think it was Shmuel must have held more the stringent approach that even if you shave entire head, you're still transgress the isser of pace. Now, says the Gemara, maybe this idea, if you have to cut everything or only if you leave some behind, that is machlekes Tanaim. The Tana Rabbanan, we have a following Gemara, a following brisa. Roishai. Now it says Roishai matam lemer. Now where does it say Roishai? Only the word Roishai is on the pasuk. So by the case of Mitzaira, we said that did they bring the pasuk on the side here? No, they don't. Okay. By the case of Mitzaira, we said that we have to cut his hair. Now he has to shave off his hair here. He has to do it twice, right? We learned Mitzaira shaves his head twice in his tahara process. Now, we said that he should go ahead and cut his hair and shave his head. Now, why is the Torah telling us he should cut the hair? Why should we say that he should shave his head? Roishai his head, which means obviously not cut off his head, it means to shave his head. If I already just said he should shave, it's double. The Torah says, once you go ahead and you shall shave his, you should go ahead and shave all his hair, his beard, his eyebrows. Well, yeah, if you shave his hair, you're shaving everything. So why is a roishai extra? It's coming to teach us something. The Torah says, what's coming to teach you? Back to the bottom line. Because the Torah clearly states you should not cut off your payas. Now, how could I cut off my pay? How could the Torah tell me by Mitzvah to shave my head entirely, including my payas, if the Torah also says one should not cut off his payas? So it's a bit of a contradiction. So the Torah is coming to return to the top of Nun Ches Amud Aleph. Yachal af Mitzvah came. I would think also Mitzvah is prohibited, and it's usher for a Mitzvah to cut his head, or at least if you shave his head, leave the payas alone. Torah says no, the entire head, to include the payas, make him totally bald, and therefore Torah is explicitly saying it's true. At one place it tells me you're not allowed to do it, but over here I'm telling you have to do it. This is the idea of an asay derech leis asay. So you have a positive. Now the shaving the head is a leis asay. One's not allowed to cut off his payas. That's a negative commandment. But the Mitzvah says you should do it. That's a positive commandment. Usually a positive commandment overrides a negative commandment. This is now we're about to go into machlekes. That's we're about to go into machlekes in a minute. That is it. We're coming to learn the asay is derech leis asay. Is it the negative commandment? Is a positive commandment overruling the positive commandment, or are we also learning something else? Perhaps we're learning out in this case a positive commandment will overrule a negative commandment and a positive commandment. One is going on Nazir, and one's going on pace. We'll get there in a minute. So hold on. Now, Betani Idach, and in another brayso it's taught Roishai. What's the verse of Roishai coming to tell us? Till now we were understanding the verse of Roishai is coming to teach us that the Torah says you shouldn't cut off your payas. And now we're at one place, and now we're being told you should cut it off there. Perhaps include, Torah has to specify one more time to make sure you actually do it. Betani Idach, and we learned also Roishai Matlaim. What's Roishai coming to teach you? Yishnemar Gabi Nazir, not by payas, by Nazir Tahar Yavel Roishai. A razor should not pass over his head. Yachal af Nazir Mitzayra. Okay, now I think that a Nazir who turned to Mitzayra cannot shave off his head because he's a Nazir. Hamlaim Roishai. It's coming to tell the Torah tells us Roishai to teach us. No, even though it's true, Nazir is instructed he can never have his head shaven until the end. But as a Nazir, he can't have his head shaved. But over here, by case of Mitzayra, he does. Now, what does it have to do with our machlekes of do you have to shave the entire head? Do you have to leave something on in order to be either the aveira of payas, or even if you shave the entire head, it is an aveira. Ma'alav Tanai. This is machlekes Hanam. Man Amar ben Nazir, the one who said that we learn out from Nazir, meaning that Roishai has to come and teach us that he's jumping over the Isra of Payas. The Roishai is not coming to teach us about Payas. We're just teaching us about Nazir. Why? Why not talk about the Isra of Payas? Okay, so now we're going to say that's Machlekes Tanam. One town is going to hold that you have to shave even if you shave the entire head. And the other one is going to hold that if you leave something behind, if you don't leave anything behind, it's not an Avera. Now, Manamar Nazir, the one who said that the extra word of Roishai is not coming to teach us that the pace is a problem. Rather, it's focusing on Nazir. right? Because we said there's an extra word of Reishai, but Mitzayra. Why the extra word? It's coming to teach you. Even a Nazir will have even a Nazir Mitzayra has his head, can have his head shaved, even though a Nazir can't shave his head. But the extra words can teach that it could. Because Samar, he's going to hold Hakafa's Kalarois, Loishmi Hakafa. Now he's going to hold that if you don't leave any hair behind and you shave the entire head, that is going to be called that's not an issue of pace. It's only if you leave something behind. Now, therefore, that's the answer already a question. So because it's like this, that what by Mitzayra, he shaves an entire head, right? Everything gone, finished, pluck him completely. Therefore, there's no issue of pace, right? Because this Tana obviously holds. That's why the Tana doesn't focus on pace, because he says you're shaving him entirely. So why bother me about pace? Pace is only if you leave something behind. In the case of Mitzayra, he's totally shaving clean. Therefore, there's no issue of pace. Therefore, the note says, what's the actual word of Rashi come to teach you? It can't be affecting anything about pace, because pace is mutter. There's no issue of pace over here. Therefore, it must be coming to teach me the issue of Nazir. What's the issue of Nazir? By Nazir, there's an asay and a lois asay. The asay is that the lois asay is that a razor should not pass over his head, and there's also an asay. What's that asay over there? And there's an asay. Does Rashi say what this is? The Gemara doesn't say what that says, right? No, it says that he's not allowed to. He should let his hair grow long, right? I think that's not say.
Oh.
I believe that's say, right? That's the asay and the lois asay. That one is that a razor should not pass over. Say is the negative commandment. The other command that he should let his hair grow long. Okay, yeah, gadol kadishia gadol para, and he should let his hair grow long. Okay, or his hair is holy, therefore let it grow long. Okay, so that's what it is. So therefore, it doesn't have to focus on pace, because pace is not a problem at all, because you're shaving off his entire head. And the other one's going to hold that where first one line is v'idach, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines down. V'idach, and the other Tana who focuses on payas and says the word of Reish is coming to teach you, even though it's true, not the shaver, the usher, the Torah forbids one to shave his entire head because of payas, but by the case of Mitzayra, the word Reish says you should go ahead and do it. He says, no, if you shave the entire head, that is a problem with pace. Therefore, in the case of Mitzayra, now we have a conflict. Finally, we have a conflict that how can you shave the entire head of Mitzayra if the Torah also says you can't cut off your pace? Therefore, we have that short of Reishai teaching us that in the case of Mitzayra, the mitzvah pace does not apply. And what does the Torah, what does the word Reishai come to teach you? Come to teach you only that we're overruling a leisasei. Because the mitzvah payas, that one should not cut his hair, cut the corner, one should not round the hair of his head is only a let's say there's only a negative commandment. There's no positive commandment involved. So again, according to, so we get two things out of this. We have Machik's Tanaim. Machik's Tanaim teach saying that what does the word Rosh come to teach you? According to one who Rosh is coming to tell us that a Nazir is permitted to shave his head if he's a Mitzayra. That's coming to teach us, number one, that since this Mandamar is on this Tana is not focusing on the issue of payas, must be he holds that. The question is more, why does he not focus on payas? That's like a little more primitive and more important than the case of a Nazir, I would think, because it applies to everyone. That's just because it's not a problem, because if you shave off your entire head, there's no issue of payas. That's what he holds, number one. And number two, he's focusing on an asay and a lois asay. That he's focusing on when he says the word roisha, the word roisha, which is a positive commandment for a mitzayra to shave his head, it's overruling 2 points. It's overruling the asay, the positive commandment of a Nazir, and the negative commandment of the Nazir. We're going to get to this negative positive in a minute. The other Tana held that since we're focusing on payas, it must be if you shave the entire head, there is a isser, there's a provision if you shave the entire head, still you're over the isser of pace. And in his case, it's an asay. You have the positive commandment of a Mitzayra to shave his head. You have the negative commandment of that you're not allowed to shave you're not allowed to cut off your pace. And you have asay. Now, any questions? Please shoot. No? Okay, we continue. Amar Rava. Okay, Amar Rava, last word on the line. Amar Rava. No. Let's change it all up. By the way, this is like a ping pong on a racket, whatever you want to call it, because it goes back and forth, a lot of back and forth. Okay. Ping pong Gemara. Amar Rava. Really, everyone agrees that if you shave off the entire head, there's no issue at all of pace. Doesn't apply. Now we have now. So then, if that's the case, okay, if you kasakra, what's the word rosh coming to teach you? You're going to hikif lebasayf gilach. Interesting case. This is the case that that even the Mamda Amar, even though roshai, according to one of them, roshai is applied to, is focusing on payas, but there is a time that even though you shave the entire head, and even if everyone holds that if you shave the entire head, there's no issue of payas, but you could technically still run into the issue of payas when it comes to mitzvah. For example, first you shave the payas and you left behind the hair on the head, and then you go to the head. So in case you have a problem with payas, so maybe everyone really holds that if you shave someone bald, there's no issue of payas, but even in the case of mitzvah, depending how you do it, you still could have a problem. That's what's the pasuk coming to tell you. Even the ilu galchi bechazim and Rosh comes to teach you, since anyway, if you decide to do it first the pace, then the head, but eventually in a few minutes it's all gonna be gone anyway, therefore it's not a problem. Since when you shave it all at once, it's not a problem. If you do it slowly, because you think about it, if you take it depends how you do it, but if you take the machine and you start shaving up, first you do your payas, and then you get to the hair right there. Even though I plan on taking it all off, I'm still got to the payas first. In such a case, it's okay. That's what Rosh is coming to teach you. Okay, now on this you have a question. That was Rava. Kikasav krahachi, but if that's so, why is that mutter? We'll do it the right way. Go ahead, shave the head, and then go to the payas. Did we not learn? Whenever you find an assay and a say, if you go ahead and fulfill both of them, great. So go. The only time we say that assay is which we will have in this case, because you are first shaving off the payas and then you're doing the rest of the hair, and we're saying that's okay because you're doing it anyway. In this case, an assay of mitzvah is going to tell you that you're allowed to do it. So it's only if you can't do it at once. But over here, only if you can't fulfill both. In this case, you could fulfill both. First shave the entire head, and then go to the payas. And therefore, there's no issue, because according to this opinion, we're going to pass like this. According to this opinion, if you shave the entire head, meaning you cut off the payas last, there's no problem. So therefore, Rav is wrong. We cannot say that we can't offer that both of them hold that if one leaves if someone leaves here, it's a problem. But if one shaves the entire head, there's no issue of payas. We cannot apply that, because then the one who held as focusing on payas, and if you want to say that payas is coming, the extra word rosh is coming to teach you that since you're doing it all together, you could do it in 2 steps. And we say that can apply. Therefore, we fall back what Rava just said, and we fall back to the original machlek is the one's going to hold you can shave it. It's only a problem if you leave here behind, and the one who holds no, it's even a problem if you shave the entire head. Okay, now the Gemara is going to go again and try to answer up the 2 brises. Okay, let's go to the other side again. We're going to ping pong. We're going to the other side. The other side is that everyone holds that even if you shave the entire head, there's still an isser of payas. And the one who focused on now we do have a problem. He doesn't speak this out tomorrow. The issue is that okay, fine, but then we have a problem with the one that spoke about Nazir. One of them held that the word Roshai is coming to tell us about Nazir, that a Nazir could have his head shaven. Now, why is he focusing on Nazir? Go to that first step, jumping over the issue of payas. He should also focus that Roshai is coming to teach us that the Roshai is coming to teach you that you could cut off the payas. Because according to him, you cannot give the answer if you shave the entire head, there's no issue of pace. We're saying now everyone agrees that if you shave the entire head, it's still a problem of pace. So why is one man dumb? Why is one of them jumping over to Nazir and leaving the issue of pace? How does he answer the issue of pace? How could he go? Okay, very good. There's no issue by case of Nazir. What about pace? And I would think, Gemara doesn't say this, but I would think if the word Rosh is coming to teach us something, will come to teach us something that applies to everybody, which is the pace. Pace applies to every mitzvah. If you're focusing on Nazir, it only applies to a select few mitzayirim who happen to also be a Nazir. Now we say, who it's the case of the Nazir. The Nazir has an essay negative commandment and a positive commandment. Lav grady manole. How does he know you can shave off the head because of payas? Very good. You're not running into the Nazir issue, but the Nazir also can't cut off his hair because he has an issue of payas himself. Yalef mir gedilim. He learns that from tzitzis, the regular place where we all learn assay is derech asay. Remember, payas. The issue of payas is only a lois assay. In the case of Messiah is an assay. So an assay versus a lois assay. So he's going to say, yeah, that's not payas is an easy one. That will answer from tzitzis. Therefore, he jumps to Nazir. Now, what's the case of gedilim? Damakra lois tilbash shatnez. The Torah says you should not mix wool and linen. The Tanya loy tilbash and the Tanya lois tilbash shatnez hagdim tasalacha. But it says you shouldn't wear it. There's a Bryce that says, or the Mishnah, Brysa, you should not wear shatnez, but elsewhere, sir, gedilim tasalacha. As you said, you should make yourself tzitzis. Now, it sounds like tzitzis from anything. I could mix in wool and linen. So we see from here that since there's a positive commandment. Go ahead and make tzitzis from anything that you wish. There's a negative commandment. And let's say I happen to choose, I want to use wool and linen. But it says there's a loisa, say there's a negative commandment of you should not put together wool and linen. If we have a positive commandment of tzitzis, it tells us do it on everything. Versus the negative commandment of you should not mix together wool and linen. The positive commandment of tzitzis overrides the negative commandment. So right now we're holding that everyone holds that if you shave the entire head, it's a problem. And that's why one of them focused on payas. And Roy Shai of Mitzaira is coming to teach you that you can even shave the head. And there's no, and in this case, even though it says elsewhere you shouldn't cut off your shave, you should not shave, you shouldn't cut off your payas. The other man there is focusing on Nazir. And Nazir is a positive commandment, and it was a negative commandment not to cut hair. Even so, Rashi teaches you, as a Messiah, he has to have his head shaven. How does he learn pace from? How does he know there's no issue of pace? And that we learn it out from the Asay versus Leis Asay is learned out from tzitzis. Just like by tzitzis, we have a negative over the positive overrides the negative. In the case of Messiah, the positive commandment of shaving the head of a Messiah overrides the negative commandment of you have to leave pace. Now, one of the answers, really, you could it's funny because you have a simple answer. You could just say that if by Mitzayra, if by Nazir, by Mitzayra, a positive commandment will overrule a positive and a negative, for sure will overrule just a negative. The Gemara doesn't say that, I don't know. Okay. Now, the Gemara asks, and the one who holds out, who learns that Roishai is coming to teach us that it's payas, right? We said one of the Tanam held that Rosh is coming to tell us that a Mitzayra could shave his head, even though it's usher, it should be usher because of payas. My time migdilim. But why is he saying Rosh is focusing on payas? We already know Asay Zaychali by tzitzis. So what? It's extra. Why now? He has two sources that a positive commandment overrides a negative commandment. Just use one. Why does he need two? He holds like Rava. He's not so happy when it comes to tzitzis. He doesn't even like how the tzitzis is learned out. Maybe he says from tzitzis we can't learn, and a positive commandment overrides a negative commandment. Why? The Rava Rami, because Rava asked this contradiction on this case of tzitzis. It says that you should place v'nasu, you should place al tzitzis on the tzitzis kanaf, which is in the corner. Min kanaf, it seems to be saying min kanaf psil tcheles, that it should be the same type of, the tzitzis should be the same as the material, as the beged, as an article of clothing. Now, uksiv tzamer pisham yachtav. And elsewhere it writes that you should have wool and linen together. Haketzad. So we sort of have a contradiction. One place it says that these are contradictions in the verses. Yeah. One place it says that you should put together. One place it says that the tzitzis should be the same type of material as the article of clothing, meaning my tzitzis itself, strings, if I'm wearing a wool clothing, then I should put wool connected to it. If it's cotton, silk, whatever, it should always be the same. Elsewhere it writes that you could have the wool and linen together. So how does this work? But the wool and linen is two separate materials. Okay, right? So meaning that he's saying is that even though it's true, our whole idea of a positive commandment of tzitzis overrides the negative commandment of shatnez, which is what he meant by saying ksiv semer pishim yachtav. But elsewhere it writes it should always be the same. So how are you ever going to run into wool and linen if my tzitzis should be the same material as the actual article of clothing? Therefore, how is this possible? It's a contradiction. So his answer is it's like this. What it means to say is that wool and linen together. It doesn't mean to say you should wear them together. Rather, it means to say is that wool and linen together are sort of the top of the food chart. That both of them could, if I have a cotton article of clothing, I could fulfill the mitzvah, the commandment of tzitzis with strings of wool or strings of linen. Sharminin, but other type of tzitzis, if I have cotton tzitzis, meaning if the tzitzis themselves are cotton, the meaning patron, I could pater my clothing if it's cotton. But if I'm wearing I don't know, polyester, then it's not going to work. Okay, and that's why, by the way, most of all tzitzis is wool, because wool could pater everything. So if I'm wearing a cotton beged, then the wool could do it. But if this would be cotton and I'm wearing wool, it wouldn't work. But so the point is that Rava holds that we want everyone. If I ask you a question, where do we know a positive commandment overrides a negative commandment? Most people can say from tzitzis, because the Torah says you should wear anything works, everything goes when it comes to tzitzis. Now, however, not so simple. Rava holds no, it's not a good source. That source that tells you the wool and linen, it's only to tell us wool and linen could the strings could be wool or linen for anything. So therefore, we don't learn how to say a positive commandment overrides a negative commandment from tzitzis. Therefore, the Tana had no choice but to apply that to learn that out by Mitzayra. Therefore, by Mitzayra, it says Rashi tells us that even though it's true, you can't cut off your pace, when it comes to Mitzayra, you could. Now, we continue. How the Tana the Mafikle Rashi Lav Greda, and according to one that held that Rashi is going on one lab, meaning it's going on the issue of pace. How does he know that positive commandment of Mitzayra will overrule the negative and the positive commandment of a Nazir? Because he's learning that only for everyone who wears the pace, which applies to everybody. How does he know about Nazir? That he learns out from Zikainai. That is also one of the words by Nazir. By Nazir it says, and you should cut off his beard. Now, that's extra. Again, if the Torah says you should shave includes here and your beard. So why beard must be extra? If he should because there's an issue of a kain. Let's say you have a kain who is a mitzayra. Now, if a kain is a mitzayra, a kain has two special halachas in the Torah that he shall shave his head. Number one is the kanam pas the kanam laigalechu, and the corners of your beard you shall not shave. Yachal af kain. Now, not only that, he also has in the same Laisa say. So it doesn't say it here. One is Kadeshim you should be holy. You should be holy means you shouldn't shave your head. That's not to shave your head totally. To shave your body is not a manner of holiness or royalty in any way. That's number one. And the negative commandment is going to be and they shouldn't shave off their beard. Now, Yachav Kamitzayra, now we think of a kohen because of Mitzayra, you can't shave his head. Because the Torah says a kohen can't have his head shaven off entirely. That's why the extra word in Mitzayra teaches us, has a zakai beard. Beard teaches you that you can shave the hair of a kohen, even though it's an assay, negative commandment of you should not cut off their hair, and a negative positive commandment of Kadeshim you should be holy. From there he learns that's how he knows that an assay is when it comes to Mitzayra. Now, go a little further. Okay. Now we go back and we say, the one who says Roshai head is focusing on Nazir of an assay and Laisase, let him learn out from Nazir, from the Kain. Why is it that Roshai has to focus on to teach us the Laisase and Laisase? Why is it that say and Laisase that? How do we know that the cutting of a hair, which is an assay of Mitzayah, overrules a positive commandment and negative commandment is from Nazir? Why didn't he choose from Kain? We just don't also from Kain. According to reason, the Kaimelam Ba'alma, because we hold because generally the rule is a positive commandment does not override a negative and a positive. Let us learn out from Kain. We can't learn out from Kain. The Kain special. He's different than everyone else. It's not equal to everyone. Therefore, we can't learn from there. Questions like this. So we need both. We need Nazir to teach. in the case of a positive command overruling a negative and a positive commandment, we can't apply Nazir to Kain and Kain to Nazir. We can't learn out from Kain to Nazir because Kain is special. It's not equal to everyone. No one, not everyone, anyone could be a Nazir, but not everyone could be a Kain. Therefore, it doesn't apply to. You can't apply to at all. Now, Nazir Mekain Namila Yal. If I learn out from Nazir, apply that to Kain. Kain Lav She'enei Shava Bakol. That's because that's also something which is not equal to everyone because not everyone's a Nazir. So both of them can't be applied to everywhere. So therefore, you have to learn out from both. We need Nazir and we need Kain to learn out that a positive commandment overrides a negative and a positive commandment when it comes to Mitzvah.